Hey, what's your favorite pit? You're like, what? What's your favorite pit? Do you like cherry pits? Do you like peach pits? Do you like plum pits? You're like, these are fruit pits. This is stupid, Sarah. Yeah, I know. But it kind of goes with the episode we're doing today. Bless the Lord, O my soul. That's our series that we're right smack in the middle of it. And we're looking at Psalms 103. And in verse 2, the psalmist says, Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget none of his benefits. Don't forget. So, thinking about God's benefits in our life, what are some of those benefits? Well, last week we talked about God forgives us of all of our iniquities, God heals all of our diseases. And today, the next benefit that the psalmist identifies is God redeems us from the pit. That's the tie-in. You're like, you are cheesy. I am cheesy. I know. You just have to be true to form. The animal in the cage is cheesy and always will be cheesy. But think about, this idea of pit. We have this vernacular, that's the pits. I hate it when that happens. That's the pits. And it's like you go to the bottom. That's the very bottom. That's the pit. That's at the very lowest. And I was thinking about pits, right? And I was thinking in the Bible about individuals that experienced pits, low points, the bottom. And I thought back to actually Joseph. And Joseph, as you read in Genesis 37, his story goes from chapter 37 through 50. And I would suggest to you that Joseph had a lot of pits, and actually even a real pit. His brothers threw him into a pit. And so Joseph experienced a lot of pits in his life. But remember, the psalmist says that one of the benefits of God is he redeems us from the pit, from the low point, from the bottom. God redeems us. So I just want you to take a moment with me to look at Joseph and his life and God's redemptive work, fingerprints, in Joseph's life as it relates to pits and redemption. So the first pit that you see in Joseph's life is when his brothers throw him into a pit. Well, in some respects, this was an upgrade from their original plan, because their original plan was to kill him. They were frustrated with him, they were jealous of him, they were angry with him, they hated his guts. And when they saw him coming, their dad sent Joseph to look for his brothers. And when they saw him from the distance, they're like, ooh, let's kill him. We can kill him out here in the wilderness. Dad will never know. And we'll be like scot-free from this horrible, awful, ugly, yucky brother that we hate. We hate him. And so they were planning to kill him. But instead, the upgrade is they threw him in a pit. It's kind of a holding tank, if you will. And when they threw him in the pit, they ate a meal, and lo and behold, some traders came through, because at this time, traders came on like camels, and there was trade routes, and they decided to sell Joseph into slavery, because the traders were bringing, spices and all this stuff, and they would buy and sell people. You're like, there was sex trafficking, there was trafficking, human trafficking, way back early in the Bible. Even Joseph was trafficked. You're like, whoa, never. Well, that's the pits, right? God redeems us from the pits. So they sell him into slavery, but he lands at Potiphar's house. And Potiphar is one of the highest officials in the government of Egypt. And as he lands in that house, God gives Joseph favor, and there's redemption. Joseph was in the pit, and now he's in the leader's house, and the leader recognizes everything I have is blessed because of Joseph, and he gives Joseph control and authority, power in his house. Well, that seems to be going well. There's redemption from the pit now to this household leadership position, but then he hits another pit because the Potiphar's wife tries to seduce Joseph. Joseph holds his integrity. I'm not going to do that. I would never dishonor my master by being disrespectful with you, in so many words. And so the wife accuses him wrongfully of, having sex with her or raping, whatever, I don't know. And the husband, the Potiphar, the owner of the household, throws Joseph into prison. So we get a pit, we get a prison. Joseph is like struggling. And again, God redeems Joseph from prison, the pit as well as prison. Because in prison, God gives him favor. The prison keeper recognizes all of the upgrade, the benefit of having Joseph in his prison, puts him in charge of all the prison. And Joseph interprets dreams. And then ultimately, we know that Joseph winds up in the palace, Pharaoh's palace, because he interprets Pharaoh's dreams. And if you look at the end of Genesis 50, you see this full redemption. Joseph is redeemed from the pit that his brothers threw him into. Joseph is redeemed from prison that he was unjustly accused. Joseph is redeemed as he goes into Pharaoh's house. And at the end of the book, at the end of Genesis, Joseph recognizes that God has redeemed him these many times for the benefit of his family, of the nation, the future of Israel, the nation, as well as the rescue of the nation of Egypt and during a tremendous famine. Stop, hold on just a second. We have to interrupt, pause to make a joke break. It's not a commercial break, it's a joke break. So, why couldn't a leopard play hide and seek? Why couldn't a leopard play hide and seek? Because he was always spotted. I know, it's super lame. I get it, but of course, I always say this, next week will be way better. You look at God's redemptive work in Joseph's life, and I think it's really powerful because maybe we could look at our own lives and consider various pits that God has redeemed us from. Because this is one of the benefits of God. And if you're in a pit right now, or maybe you're in a palace, or things are going well, but no matter the undulation in your life, one of the benefits of God is that He redeems us from the pit. So here's an idea to bless the Lord, because in each of these episodes, I'm giving you an idea on how to bless the Lord, because that's the beginning of the verse 2, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget none of His benefits. So here's an idea. Consider and look back. Where have you seen God's redemption in your life? Where has God taken something that was a challenge, a struggle, a pit, and redeemed that and made it into something beautiful, something wonderful, something fantastic? Because God redeems our lives from the pit. So next week we're going to explore another one of God's benefits. I mean, if you think about it, these could be endless. But next week we have another cool benefit to look at, see what the Bible says, and see how it relates to your life. So watch next week as well.